Friends, do you see what I see? I'm so excited. I have to show you, and probably it's kind of hard, so I'll move the camera, make sure I get a close-up shot for you. But I have all across here my parsley. It survived. It overwintered. Usually our snow comes and goes and comes and goes, and we get these terrible freezes when there's no snow on the ground, but this year we had really great snow and it stayed over the garden the whole time, and it insulated enough that my parsley survived, and I'm so excited because that is one of my favorite things, is fresh parsley. It's just so refreshing, and it just adds, just kind of pumps up the flavor. I love it. So I just had to bring you out here and show you. It was just way too exciting to keep to myself. So since it's mild enough to be outside right now, I still have a little bit of protection on because I get cold so easy. I'm getting this gardening itch, and I thought, let's talk about planting the garden. And I know some of you guys down in the south are already gardening, and I don't know if I can ever keep up with you guys. It amazes me that you can get going so fast and get growing this time of year. I am just barely coming out of hibernation right now. So I'm getting ready to plan the garden, and I thought I'd take you guys along and show you how I kind of go through things to decide what I'm going to plant in my garden. So the first thing is, I want you to take out a piece of paper. I want you to gather up all of your catalogs or pull up your laptop or whatever, and I want you to just gather ideas. Now at this point, that's all it is, just ideas. Don't pin yourself down and don't try to reason through and think through things, because you'll get bogged down and it'll be too hard to decide what you want, what you don't want. So I've got a step-by-step method here to help you guys break it all down. So first step, just write down anything and everything you've ever wanted to grow. And you know, if you want to do vegetables and flowers or something like that, break it into those two categories. Or vegetables and herbs, or however you want to break it up, that's fine. But put it all down on one piece of paper. Now the next thing I want you to do is, I want you to go through that list and put some kind of a mark as to what items are non-negotiable. So if you want, you know, check mark those ones that no matter what, those are the ones you really want to grow. These are the things that your family really loves to eat a whole lot of, you know, something that you know you're going to get a whole lot of use out of. Now here again in this step, don't get all bogged down and, you know, well, where am I going to plant it and how long does it need to grow, and you know, what kind of spacing. Don't think about any of that kind of stuff, or whether you have room in your garden. So mark everything that you feel like is an item that you just really need to have in your garden. Okay? Okay, now we're going to start narrowing down the list a little bit, and there's a couple ways that you can do that. One of those ways is to go through and put a little like dollar sign, or whatever your currency is, put that sign beside the items that are going to save you a lot of money. So for us, cucumbers are very expensive to purchase, organic cucumbers, often anywhere from $1 to $2 a cucumber. And that's something that in the summertime I could just live on a cucumber. Somebody's shooting. I love cucumbers, and they're so refreshing in the summer. So that's an item that's definitely a non-negotiable, and it's one that is going to save me a whole lot of money if I can grow a good crop of cucumbers. Plus that means that I can put up pickles through the winter, so there again I'm saving money. So dollar sign or currency sign beside anything that is gonna give you a lot of bang for your buck. All right, next thing, you've seen that I put up a lot of tomatoes, and we use a lot of tomatoes, and we would eat a ton of tomatoes in the summer. Now the problem with tomatoes is they take a lot of room to grow, and they need a long growing season. And that's not something that I have very much of either. I have 1,200 square foot garden to try to feed my family off of, and so real estate is really prime, and our growing season is only 90 days usually at the max, and last year it was only like 70 71 or something like that. It was terribly short. So tomatoes, to me, you know, if I wanted to put in enough here to actually can everything I need to can, it's gonna have to take up, you know, probably 3 or 4 rows of my garden, and I just can't afford to give that kind of a real estate to something that there's a good chance it's not even gonna ripen, or, you know, last summer was such a mild summer, we had a hard time getting it to even put on any tomatoes. They're just something that prefer the warmth. So tomatoes is something where, yeah, it would save me a lot of money, and yes, we do eat a lot of it, but at the same time, it's not really worth me dedicating that much of my garden to it. The way that I get tomatoes is I go and I have a farmer close by and I get his seconds. And so for now, that's working much better. And someday we'll be on a place where I can put in a greenhouse, and I will probably have a greenhouse that's nothing but tomatoes, and that will be terribly exciting, but that's not where we're at right now. So for now, green beans grow really good here, and squash grow really good here, and neither of those need a big long growing season or a special anything. They just thrive in this soil. So for me, green beans and squash will always get way higher priority than a tomato. And this year I'm putting my foot down, and I'm gonna have like 2 cherry tomato plants, and that is it. Nobody is talking me into tomatoes. I get so frustrated growing them here. So I kind of touched on this with the tomatoes, but I want you to be really careful that as you're narrowing down your list, don't make it so narrow that you're depending on any one crop, because anybody who's gardened for any length of time will tell you, you never know what this year is going to bring. So 3 years ago, my cucumbers were just exploding. I had countertops and bucketfuls and bagfuls of cucumbers. I mean, we seriously lived on them. We put them up. We did everything we could think of. We made cucumber salsa. We were giving away cucumbers. I mean, they were coming in by the bucketfuls. And so if I said, well, we had such a good year last year, I'm sure this year will be the same. You know, 2 years ago. So a year ago, I planted almost as many cucumber plants, and I got 3 cucumbers last year. So if I was banking on having those cucumbers, I was going to be in a world of hurt, because, you know, we didn't have them. It wasn't in the cards for last year. So be sure that you have a lot of diversity in your garden, which will also help with pests and disease and all that kind of stuff. So diversity is really important, that you don't put all of, you know, it's just like investing. Don't put everything into one company or one crop. You need to diversify your garden. Your goal for the first couple years should just be to learn everything you can learn and keep your plants alive and get some kind of a harvest that you can enjoy during the summer. So, you know, if you end up putting away a couple quarts of anything, you should just be so proud of yourself, because this is such a steep learning curve, and there's so many things. There's you know, that can affect your garden, or that can take out a crop or whatever. So don't count on that. So make sure you have a good variety of things that you can enjoy through the summer, and just enjoy the experience. And as you continue, you're gonna end up just pretty soon you're gonna have a great big huge garden, and you're gonna be feeding everybody in the neighborhood. Okay, so now it's time to go back and fill in the missing pieces. You want a well-rounded garden that really takes care of you guys, or, you know, like I said, if this is your first year gardening, that you have a variety of things to eat from. Because if you plant a whole row of Swiss chard, I can tell you, you are going to hate Swiss chard by the time the summer is over with. Either that, or your neighbors are all going to be having Swiss chard for the entire summer. So fill in the pieces. We're going to look at first leafy greens. What are the leafy greens that you guys enjoy eating? We really enjoy spinach. That's one our family loves. We can saute it or we can eat it fresh as salads. So we grow a lot of spinach, plus it grows really well here. It really thrives. I also like kind of a butter lettuce, so we usually do a couple different kinds so that we can mix it all together with our dandelions and our, what is that stuff called? Lamb's quarters. I can't remember. Okay. So we like to mix that all together with our dandelions and our lamb's quarters, and then we have a full green salad with lots of variety, so we get all those vitamins and minerals. So that's what we do for leafy greens. Next, look at salad veggies. So these are the vegetables like peas, sweet peas that you can grow through the summer, and those, oh gosh, that's my favorite. And those, you can do the shelling peas or you can do the sugar snap peas, and those just brighten your salad so much. Cucumbers, that would be like a salad vegetable. Anything that you can cut up and just add to your salad. Now add some of what I call stir-fry vegetables, and those are going to be things like the zucchini squashes or the green beans or broccoli. All of these that they've got a little more substance to them, and they bring more depth into whatever you're doing. You can cook them, you can roast them, you can eat them fresh. They have so many options, and you can even blanch them and freeze them. So make sure you've got your stir-fry veggies. Okay, now root veggies. Root veggies are going to be like potatoes, carrots, parsnips, those things that grow down into the ground, beets. And these will be great through the summer. They'll also be great through the winter. They're something that you can store, something you can, and they're another one of those things that bring a whole lot of substance to your meals. So make sure you've got some root veggies planted. Now we move on to winter storage. Make sure you have some vegetables that you can store for the winter. And I know root vegetables kind of fall in that, but then there's also winter squash, things like butternut or a Hubbard squash, something like that. Sweet potatoes, those are all those kind of winter hardy storage vegetables that you want to make sure you've got a few of those in your garden. Now don't forget your herbs. Herbs, oh my goodness, that is a place that is, they have a special place in my heart for sure. Right now in my garden I have sage, which if you've never grown that, is so much fun. It comes back every single year, and it comes back bigger and more amazing, and it produces flowers, and it draws the pollinators in, and it deters the bugs, and it's just such a gorgeous thing. And then the aromatics as you walk past it, and it's got medicinal qualities, and you can cook with it. So yes, I'm so in love with sage. So make sure that you have things like sage, basil, oregano, thyme, all these different things that you can cook with. And then there's different varieties within those. And you can get perennials, you can get annuals. It kind of depends on where you live. Up here, a lot of the things that you guys that live in the South consider perennials, we consider annuals, and I have to replant them every single year. But that just is, you know, you take a zucchini squash and you add it together with your fresh sage, and the flavors mingle, and then you can throw in some green beans and some of those sugar snap peas, and then lay it over a bed of the lamb's quarters, and you'll be in heaven. The flavors are just, they're so simple, but it's so rich at the same time. So make sure you have some herbs. And then here's the fun one. And once you've gotten all of those figured out and you picked out one or two of all of those different categories, then I want you to pull your list back out again and say, okay, what would be one thing that would just be a fun, let's just experiment and see what happens kind of a thing. This one usually ends up on my teepee. I have a teepee in my garden, and I have grown some the cats. I've grown some various beans on there, and I'm thinking this year I might grow some kind of a purple or spotted bean or something like that with beautiful flowers. I love to have just that one thing because you never know what your family is really going to latch onto and love without trying some of these things, but at the same time I don't want to bank on them and say, okay, well this year instead of planting the green beans that I know we all really love, I'm gonna plant these spotted beans and then nobody loves them. One example of that is we planted blue potatoes a couple years ago, and I tell you what, they are the gift that just keeps on giving. They come back every single year, even though we tilled the ground and pulled out every possible one we could. And we can eat some of them, but oh my goodness, they're not something we can take in really huge quantities. So, you know, those kind of experimental things, just put in a few plants the first year, and if you love it, then give it more real estate in your garden next year. So let's just cover the steps again real quick. We're first going to gather ideas, and don't be inhibited by reason and logic on this step. Now the next one, go through and prioritize. That's really important to you, that the things in your garden are meaningful and something your family really enjoys. The next one is going to be narrow down the list. Start cutting things out that are going to take too long to grow, or they're too difficult, or something that you need to grow when you are a more experienced gardener. So narrow down your list. But don't get it so narrow that you say, okay, well, we love tomatoes, so the garden is tomatoes this year. Make sure you've got some diversity, and then make sure you've got some of each of those kind of vegetables in there, and you will have a beautiful garden. So that's how we choose what goes into our garden, what seeds we're going to plant, and I hope that you found this helpful. I can't wait to hear you guys. Have to tell me in your comments what you're most excited about growing this year, or what you have already planted that you can't wait until it comes up and you can harvest it. So I'm getting so excited about gardening season, and thank you guys for being here. I love you to pieces. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.